Thank you. And I'm sorry for the poor sight lines over here. The room is the room. And that's what we
Much better view down here. Can't see anybody. No, I will. Stretching the legs. I don't want to pass out. Yeah. I don't want to be late. Yeah. What is it? Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Where do they do that? In It's crazy.
Our Zoom participants have said that they can't hear well. So we are all going to need to talk into our microphones very clearly and speak up. Okay?
Believe it or not, I have so much respect for the water. It's free. 100 foot wave.
All right. Welcome, gentlemen. So our first, the rules are, once again, the candidates have drawn cards indicating what order they will open the debate with. They will each have 2 minutes to have an opening statement. There will be no, I'm sorry, again, I'm sorry. The first question, I'm very sorry. Well, that's 2 minutes for an opening statement. They're each going to be given the same question to open with. Why are you running for office? You will have 2 minutes to respond, and there is no rebuttal. We will then begin rotating questions based on the cards that you drew. Each of you will have 1 minute to respond to the person who has answered that question, and then we will proceed through the list of questions. And at the end, we'll be taking questions from the audience. Okay, who drew the high card? Benjamin.
Also known as the short straw.
Okay, and why are you running for office? In 2 minutes or less, please.
Oh, okay. There are many reasons why I'm running for office, but let's start with 1 or 2. First, I love this island. A lot of you know me, and I've been here for about an hour. But I care about this place, and from deep down inside. Otherwise, I would not have raised my family here for so many decades. The other reason is I found myself looking at the reporter, talking to people in the town, and getting frustrated and complaining a lot. And I don't like to complain. And at some point, you either have to stop complaining or do something. And I have 40 years of business and law experience that I can bring to bear to help this town. And I'm willing to do that. And that's why I'm running.
Thank you. Next. Rick.
I decided to run because I'm concerned about the affordability of the island. I need it personally to stay affordable for myself, and I see it in a lot of my friends and people that I relate to. I have a business here, and I want the business relationship with the island to be open to local businesses, and I also feel that that I could always address the town board with my concerns. I've done it for, 30 years of being a full-time resident here of choice. I came here as a child without choice, and I'd like to say that I came, when I could make the choice, I came to the party and I stayed for the low taxes. And so I'd like to keep it that way. And I relate to like some more of the old school type of people that were here, and I'll give an example of Mal Neville, who never shied away from an argument with the town board, and I'd like to say that I would do the same, and I would expect it from you. And the way I see the escalation goes is first, I gotta move forward? Okay, so the escalation is, first you bring it, you go to the town board meeting and you address your town board there. If you don't get the response there, then you go into town hall on a Tuesday or a Wednesday and you knock on the supervisor's door and you walk in and you talk to him, and that's the way it works on the other end. All right, so that's the way I'm running. I hope you can, I've been here a long time. I know a lot of people, but I realize I don't know everybody, and I think it's going to be really a joy to get to know more of you.
Okay, Albert.
Is this, am I holding this right? Am I heard? Okay, thank you. I want to get back in the game. There's a lot of things unfinished that I have, that frankly, I don't feel I got the support that were important for the island. There's so much going on now, I get confused, where a wastewater treatment plant, clean up Fresh Pond, committee in Menantic Creek, maybe a public water supply. I really feel it's time for us to have a concise plan. What we're doing, how we're gonna move forward, what's our priorities. We need some expertise, we need some help with this, not just pick projects and go, well, this will be beneficial, let's do this. I think we really need a very detailed plan and a timeline to get things accomplished to help us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bert. The town board is currently urging completion of the new comprehensive plan by September. Do you think this is a realistic time frame? Why or why not? You have 2 minutes, and then other gentleman will have 1 minute to rebut if they choose.
I've watched some of the meetings on Zoom, and I've attended a few of them. I think that there is a good group at the comprehensive plan, and I think that, if you walk away with a headache, you get the idea of what's going on. And I think they would be a better judge to say if they can get it done by September. If they say so, then I'll believe them. That Ben's on that, and I know he participates. He can tell you if there's consensus on that. I think it's important to get it done. I think they're scratching out a lot of things that initially got in there that could be problematic. I think you're gonna ask me a question about the wastewater plant, and I think you'll hear a little difference between me and these other two gentlemen about how I think about that should be going forward. But the comprehensive plan is important. I remember it in '94, and I was on it there for the sacred spaces. Part of the committee, it was different back then. I think they had, we had a lot of subcommittees. Now it's just one group. And so they got a lot on their plate, and hopefully they can wrap it up by then.
Thank you. Albert?
I was a part of selecting the advisory committee for the comprehensive plan. I was on the board at that time. Excuse me. I think it's an excellent committee. It's a committed group of people with a cross-section of Shelter Island. Local people, some that grew up here, some weekenders, some that are here, have moved here, retired here. It's a real cross-section of the island. I think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing if the committee is steered in a certain way to favor certain initiatives within the comprehensive plan. I think that's a conflict. I think the
What about
plan.
the timing? Timing
I
of the
don't
plan.
see the rush to get it done this year. I don't see the rush. let's get it right, and let's have, again, a plan of what we need to do moving forward. Thank you.
Hi, well, as most of you know, I sit on that committee along with Joanne, and I thought I saw BJ hiding over there and Meg standing in the back. And I first would like to say that the Comprehensive Plan Committee and the task force, really smart, hardworking group of people. That group can produce a good comprehensive plan. I don't understand why there's a time limit put on it. I have always moved towards correct over fast. And the fast makes no sense to me. It certainly has pushed us to make decisions that I don't agree with on the committee. But the committee has the potential to do great work. So let it do the great work it can do.
Thank you. Albert, what will the importance of transparency in government require you to do in your role as councilman should you be reelected?
The first thing I would suggest and hope that we could do is eliminate the 3-minute clock. I want to be more involved with the people. I think they need to be heard more consistently. I think the temperature has gotten very divisive on the island. It's not an easy fix, but I think by engaging with people and bringing them together, we can make things happen in a better fashion. Thank you.
Ben, you have a minute to respond.
Joanne, could you repeat the question?
Sure. What will the importance of transparency in government require you to do in your role as councilman should you be elected?
Well, it will certainly require me to actually do one of the things that I truly believe in, which is I have always learned more by using my ears than my mouth. And the transparency in government, I mean, there was a discussion before when Gordon and Jerry were up here. And I think the disconnect there was that, sure, you can build a plan internally, then go out to the public to get input, but at that point, the plan is built. Where I think the input from the public has to come is before that plan is finished. And you certainly have the people inside town government putting the plan initially together.
Thank you.
But then finish it off with input from the public.
Thanks. Yeah, transparency. So I think what we're talking about is the old boy network, and if it's there, for some people get special treatment. And, transparency means, treating everybody the same way and looking at the rules and the regulations, the way they're written. And if we have a problem with the way they're written or the way they're being enforced, so we got to address it that way. And no special favors, just because you've been here for a while or you know how to work the system.
Thank you. I'm starting to get confused here. Okay, back to Ben. Water quality and quantity are problems in certain areas of the island. Do you think herbicides, pesticides, and irrigation play a role in this? And if so, do you think the town needs to pass more regulations?
Well, for a few of those things you mentioned, the town has no control of them. The county and the DEC control pesticides. Herbicides, not sure. Irrigation, the town can play a role in. And I think the town should take action to protect the environment where it can. And where it can't, there should be a dialogue with the county, who does have that ability to control those things. Our needs must be advocated for when we cannot advocate directly for them ourselves. And I yield back my time.
Rick?
Is that pesticides and?
Water quality and quantity are problems in certain areas of the island. Do you think herbicides, pesticides, and irrigation play a role in this? And if so, do you think the town needs to pass more regulations?
The town, certainly, you know, I'm a shellfisherman, so we know that pesticides hitting the water kill shellfish and juvenile fish. So I think, you know, we have a ban within 500 feet or so, or something like that, for aerial spraying or spraying, you know, certain products. And as Ben said, we don't have control over the full spectrum because of the county. Water quality, yes, I mean, we're talking about like ticks, things like that. If they're going to be, you know, sprayed on private property, it should be figured out if that's, you know, contaminating our water. And I know it's a dilemma, you know, because you have, you know, ticks versus, you know, you can get very sick by them, but also, you know, if you're contaminating your water, you can get sick too. So I am against, you know, the spraying for ticks.
Albert?
Like's been mentioned, pesticides is basically out of the town's control. It's handled by the DEC. But people, the residents, if they see something, they can say something and make a call. Irrigation, I think we need to rethink the irrigation on the island. Our water, we are water challenged. And I think, even though our early history was British, I think our obsession with green lawns is counterproductive to where we really want to be. Irrigation wells can be put in without the town knowing it. An individual can go, I shouldn't advertise this. A person can go to the county and be permitted to put in an irrigation well on their property without the town being involved in that. That's got to stop. Somehow, some way.
Thank you. Bert? Houses over 6,000 square feet are routinely approved by the town board. A fact lawyers for these proposed projects cite when they come before the board seeking these special permits. In your opinion, what will the recently passed 6-month large residence building moratorium accomplish?
Well, the town board's got a lot of work ahead of them to address this in 6 months. I think that if we can, you know, there's a lot of pressure from, you know, people coming from off island who are, see the town and understand the code that you can get, you know, 6,000 or more square feet in the 2 or 3 buildings that you can build on a lot, and put in a tennis court and a pool. It's a hard question to answer in 30 seconds, but I think the town.
You have 2
Oh, I
minutes.
have 2 minutes on this? Okay. It's a lot easier with 2 minutes. Let me take a
Go for
breath.
it.
All right, 2 minutes? Sure. I solve it all. Oh, 1 minute to go? No problem. I can have it done. All right, so look, I think you know, there's no limit to up. You're going to get people that are going to say 6,000 feet. You're going to get people who are going to come here with enough money, and they're going to say, well, gee, I've got 5 acres. You know, I could split it up. I could put 30,000 with the house on. You know, if I split it up to 5 ways, why don't you give me 20,000 for a house? So I think, you know, we need to protect the character of the island and also some of the characters that are here. And so, you know, I think that's a real thing that we can lean on for controlling the size of these houses that people are proposing. So I am for a limit to the upside. I know that might hurt what's called the high-end residential kind of development, but you know, you might get somebody that's like in Sagaponic, Ira Rennick, who wants a 100,000 square foot house. And so we got to look over, you know, all the resources that the island has, and we have to understand that it's a shared resource, particularly the water.
Thank you. Now, Albert, you only have a minute to solve the problem.
They addressed this in Martha's Vineyard. They passed referendums in townships to limit the size of a house to 3,500 square feet. Frankly, I think that's the way to go. The town board was talking about area ratio. That just is going to continue the arbitrariness of how much property, how big of a house. let's cap the size of a house. And to use the moratorium, there's so much more that needs to be addressed. When they wrote the code over 20 years ago, they allowed 2 bedrooms in an accessory dwelling in a nearshore area to be, because of the environmental sensitivity. Now we have multiple bedrooms. We don't describe a bedroom in our code, so the people tell us, no, that's my office, that's my art studio, that's whatever it might be. We need to tighten up our code, the least of which, or the most of which as well, is the size of a house. Our code is weak and it needs to be updated.
Thank you. Ben? 1 minute.
1 minute, thank you. Well, Albert's right. And-
Thank you.
Look, moratoriums, they sound lovely and it sounds like you're doing something, but all they're really, they're there to be implemented when there's a lack of policymaking. That's why they exist. And we've had a very stark lack of policymaking in this area. So hopefully the town board will take this time to fix the problem, to actually implement real policy around the size of houses, not floor area ratio. I mean, if that's the case, I could build a 40,000 square foot house on my, you know, so that's not the way to do it. We need to protect the nature and feel of this island and the environment. And we need to absolutely protect the near shore overlay area. We just have to. And that's it.
Thank you. Albert? The town board recently voted to assign wetlands permitting approval to the planning board, removing itself completely from the process. How will the town board maintain its responsibility as elected officials to oversee and protect our critical wetlands?
I do not agree with that position that the town board took. At a meeting, I did express that concern that I had with them. There's no expertise, not to disparage the people on the planning board, but there is no expertise as I see it. There is no planning professional. There is no environmental professional. The lawyer and the engineer for the planning board, their expertise is in subdivision, lot line changes. Keep the decision with the town board. Hopefully, we're the elected officials and responsible to the people. Keep the decision with the town board.
Ben? 1 minute.
Repeat the question again.
The town board recently voted to assign wetlands permitting to the planning board, removing itself completely from the process. How will the town board maintain its responsibility as elected officials to oversee and protect our critical wetlands?
Well, delegation of certain responsibilities sometimes has to happen. However, this particular responsibility is so critical to the future of this island and everything we all hold dear that I don't agree with the decision that was made to switch over to the planning board. Mainly because the planning board are appointed while the town board are elected and answerable to the people. And I understand, I mean, I've had enough time to watch people on the board and in committees and how they work and how hard they work. I understand the need to lighten that load. This is not the place to do it.
Thank you. Bert? And Bert, Carrie, you're coming across a little muffled.
Yeah, you're pretty muffled. If you can hold it just a little bit away, that speaks very
Okay,
clearly.
how
Thank
about-
you. We'll let the Zoom people
Okay, thanks.
log in.
Yeah, because I got my kids watching. I don't want them to Big Dad, you got a problem. Okay, so for the Democrats in the room here, this is a real distinction between the two, you know, my co-seaters right here. You know, I looked at the problem that the town board was trying to solve. I listened to them, and they had, and Meg came, her presentation was, we have a problem with the flow chart of the way that these planning applications, you know, these buildings were coming to the town. They were going to the building department. The building department was sending it to the planning board. The planning board was going back to the town board. There was the flow chart, which Meg didn't even like go into that much detail, you know, but she compared it with her improvement. And since she was doing the work, she said, hey, let's reorganize this. So it wasn't just that they were abdicating the responsibility. She was trying to make it more efficient, and you were getting all.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. Okay, Benjamin. Residential and commercial development over recent years seems to increasingly cater to an exclusive, wealthy clientele, resulting in an us versus them division. Do you think it's possible to balance the island's economy and opportunities to encompass every shelter islander, be they part-time or full-time? And if so, how would you go about doing that? 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm not sure I agree with the premise, but I will say that this is a small island, and we need to take special care in protecting the community as a whole. It has to be a whole, healthy organism. And certainly, the first thing we have to do is make a successful effort at building affordable housing. There has to be every level of demographic here on this island for it to be healthy. And by catering to one or the other, like I said, I'm not sure I agree with that premise, but what I will agree with is that we have to work harder to make sure that everyone who wants to be here can successfully be here. And there clearly is not enough affordable housing for younger people, smaller families, and that has got to be job number one.
Thank you. Right.
Just repeat that, just so.
Residential and commercial development over recent years seems to increasingly cater to an exclusive, wealthy clientele, resulting in a widening us versus them division. Do you think it's possible to balance the island's economy and opportunities to encompass every shelter islander, part-time or full-time? And if so, how would you go about doing it? You only have a minute to solve this problem.
Thanks, right. So, look, specifically, let's talk about the wastewater treatment, because that's a big part of it. We need to, you know, there's a dead zone in the center of the island, and we have the opportunity to do something there. And look, when I was, 40 years ago, we had, way more businesses there. We had the House of Glass, we had Boax or George's where it's 18 Day. We had, Feedy's in the center. We had Carol's. Now it's a dead zone. B1 is a failure. We've got to address that. And once we get some, you can create a little bit of density right around 114. And so that's what I think can help with increasing, the us versus them.
Thank you. Albert?
Unfortunately, what's happening in Washington, D.C. has come to little old Shelter Island, much to our chagrin. It's not an easy answer how to do that. I think we need to be more inclusive, need to pay attention more to each other and work together. I know that sounds patronizing, but I think that that's what we really need.
Bert? Back to you. You have 2 minutes to solve the problem. Many individuals and organizations, such as the Shelter Island Association, comprised of neighborhood associations, have become increasingly vocal in their opposition to decisions being made by the town board. What weight would you give the viewpoints of these organizations and individuals in your decision-making?
Yeah, well, look, they have to come in a lot. They have to. These organizations are the people, and they need to state their opinions clearly. But the town board, needs to set leadership and go about a vision and finding it and acting upon it. I think if Silver Beach is telling us how to, what you need to do in the center, I don't think that has as much weight as the people who are in the center telling us what to do in the center. But at the same time, we all share, the benefits of, say, the school. We all can send our kids there, and it's a great thing for the island. But it's a source of nitrates in the water. So what's to say that nitrate, should stay in the center, so to speak? I think the best thing we can do for that nitrate is to treat it as deeply as we can and release it somewhere on the island, safely. So that's why the wastewater treatment plant makes sense to me. And, I heard recently that we have someone described the Heights treatment plant as the Heights treatment plant. But then I heard someone say, oh, it's the aging Heights treatment plant. So now we got a new category of something on the island. So I think a lot of things need to be looked at throughout, within neighborhoods, but for the whole island to go forward.
Albert?
The SIA represents, I don't know exactly what the number is.
10.
10 homeowners, who do I owe a debt of? 10 homeowners association. All the people, including myself, spoke out at the town board meetings and hearings to keep the final decision on wetlands applications with the board. They improved the criteria. I will give the board that. They did a good job at improving the criteria, but they didn't listen to the people. They went ahead with the decision on their own. They could have compromised and said, let's do it for a period of time and see how it works. But they chose not to. That's not good government.
Okay. Ben?
Well, first I would like to thank all of those neighborhood associations for standing up and playing a part in their community and having a voice. And even if you don't have a neighborhood association, please come, have a voice in what goes on here. When the Clinton-Lucas Airfield wastewater treatment plant was proposed, there is no Eeltown Neighborhood Association. I and others led the charge to point out the deficiencies of that thinking. So we need more involvement, and I would encourage that the best way I can possibly do.
Thank you. Albert? The town has passed a new ethics code that requires employees and elected officials to disclose any conflicts of interest they may have. In some cases, they will have to recuse themselves and abstain from both discussion and voting on that topic. Do you foresee any such situations in which you would have to disclose or step away?
Gosh. Well, let me take the opportunity to commend the board for reconstituting the ethics committee with really qualified people and creating a new code of ethics. Really a tremendous thing that they did for the island. They need to be complimented on that. As far as myself compromising,
No. Do you see any situations in the future in which you would need to disclose or step away from a discussion?
Conflict of interest.
Wow, right now, no, I don't believe so, but if it did arise and it was pointed out, I would certainly do that. I would step away and I would recuse myself, without a doubt.
Okay, Ben?
Yes, as Albert said, great job by the town on the ethics committee. The only thing that really comes to mind for me, as a lot of you know, I'm very involved with Sylvester Manor. I was one of the people that founded what you now know today as Sylvester Manor. We started with the CSA, that's been 2009. And I served 5 years as the board president of Sylvester Manor. So, and as you know, the Sylvester Manor does have dealings with the town. We're 250 acres in the middle of this island. So if I am elected to the town council, and there are issues that come up with Sylvester Manor, I still sit on the board of Sylvester Manor as well. I would probably find myself thinking about refusing. But it depends on the issue, it depends where I am.
Bert?
Yes, I have a morning business, so and I think one of the reasons I think the town board went after the ethics, redoing it, the ethics committee was one of the times I presented myself to the town board and talked about a member on the WMAC. I would have to recuse myself on mooring applications and possibly, if any permitting for a dock or a bulkhead that I was to perform in, I'm sure I would have to recuse. What other business do I do? Well, I did the picture framing for Kiki. So if the town board wants to do any presentation, I would, to people, I would not vote on that. T-shirts or hats, something.
Thank you. All right, back to you, Ben. This question has 2 parts. Many private wells are unusable due to saltwater intrusion or contamination by chemicals such as those good old nitrates. Does the town have a responsibility to educate the public on the necessity of water testing? That's the first part. The second part is, does the town have a moral or legal obligation to ensure that residents have access to potable water?
So, town government exists to protect the health and welfare of the people that live in the town. So educating people about the importance of clean water and knowing whether or not the water coming out of your tap is clean is part of the town's responsibility. Now, as far as helping support and provide potable water, yes, the town should use its resources, its grant application and grant award abilities to help people in the town have drinkable water. It's 2 parts, but almost the same question. There should be an educational piece, how to teach people how to be healthy, and then help provide them the tools and the means and the actual water to be healthy.
Right?
Okay.
Remember, the kids are watching.
The kids are watching, right. So, potable water. The question is, right, so does the town, I didn't get an answer from Ben there. I didn't understand what he was talking about. But the point is.
It was 2 yeses.
2 yeses? Okay, I'm not too sure to what. But the question is, does the the municipal responsibility, does the town have the municipal responsibility to provide clean water to its residents? And I look at it this way, are we gonna deny clean water to our residents? And I don't think we should. I think deny water to anybody on the island. I think we have to figure out how to supply water to everybody on the island, from Ram Island to Silver Beach and in the center. I think it's a municipal responsibility that the town has got to get used to in the new world that we live in.
Albert?
The education piece is certainly something that should be pursued. It is a health and safety issue. We do need clean water on the island. How to do it is a very big question, not an easy question to answer. The first thing we need to do, one of the first things, is to take care of our upper glacial aquifer. Install IA systems. We need to clean water what we have. As far as supplying water, I would first look at small community wells rather than a massive overall system. I would start with small community wells for water supply to those people that are challenged with potable water.
Thank you. Bert, from your perspective, what are the 3 greatest threats to life and lifestyle here on Shelter Island?
Small question.
Yeah, well, that's kind of hard to say with a straight face. Well, affordability is a threat to the island. I think environmentally we have a threat, particularly with climate change and how that's going to affect the how we protect ourselves, and probably our water, and with that probably keeping with affordability, I would say housing as well, so that's the way I would put that question. I've thought about it, and in each one of those subtopics, let's say climate change, we could talk about bulkheading and things like that, and I'm not going to say that we shouldn't remove any bulkheads, but we should discuss how we're going to protect the island in the future. And with water quality, we need to see how that's going to, we need to provide good water. And in affordability, we need to be very careful of what projects we support and how we go about it.
Albert, your 3 greatest threats.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes.
Bert confused me.
Okay. From your perspective,
Myself.
what are the 3 greatest threats to life and lifestyle on Shelter Island?
1, 2, and 3 is our water. It's the most critical aspect of the island. Our health and safety, the sustainability of the island is tied to water. Maybe 1 and 2. Number 3, I think, is housing. Housing is very important to keep Shelter Island affordable. Keep the project going, get affordable housing here for people that need to stay and have the opportunity to stay.
Benjamin?
Oh boy, 3 things, and in no particular order, by the way. A responsive town government, or a non-responsive town government that isn't taking a hard look at clean data to make decisions. That will be one thing. Obviously, clean water is I wouldn't call it a second thing, but in no particular order, the second thing. And I want to say affordable housing, but it's really more about making sure that this community is well-rounded, that we don't lose a whole segment of the community because we're not providing certain services in the town. Because without a well-rounded community, this place will skew off track.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, each one of you. Now you each have 2 minutes for a closing statement, right? Starting with Albert.
Hold the clock, please. Let me get my glasses on. Thank you. For those of you who may or may not know me, I grew up here. I am 4th generation who was given a strong sense of family and community. I graduated from Shelter Island School. I went away to college and work, but always maintained a home here in my connections. Shelter Island is part of my soul. So much so that my wife would have you believe there was a prenuptial agreement that when the time came, we would settle here. Right, babe? I served on the town board from 2018 through 2021. I was the leading and sometimes sole advocate for protecting our environment, our waters, and our wetlands. I proposed many initiatives to help ensure the long-term sustainability of our island, to improve our waters and limit excessive building. As a reporter article said about me, quote, if there is a single word that captured Mr. Dixon, it is water. He stressed an urgency to never postpone serious legislation meant to ensure action. If returned to the board, I will bring my passion for the environment to continue the work I began, and hopefully with more supportive colleagues like Gordon and Ben. I will also bring the knowledge I gained while in office of many town issues, how the town operates, and how it could be run better. I will also work to improve the dialogue, to unite and not divide, to listen and instill trust in town government. We all love this place. We're all vested here. Let's work together to make it a better place for all. Thank you.
Ben?
So, I can sit here and talk about how long I've lived in this community and the ways in which I've contributed to it. But we all have our bubbles and our comfort zones. I'm well known in some arenas and not so much in others. And then there's a whole DNR divide. None of that is important on this rock, since we are all affected by the same major issues that some could say are being mishandled by the current town government. And that's no matter where you live or how you live. In my professional life, I only experienced success when I built a really good team and worked well with others. Collaboration is the quickest road to solutions, and you get the most positive motion out of people when they feel that they are being heard and that they are contributing to something that is dynamic and inclusive. That is what I hope to bring to town government so that we can actually solve the water quality problem in the center, protect our wetlands, build affordable housing, absolutely critical, promote controlled commercial development, and make town government more transparent and responsive. I decided to throw my hat into this ring because I realized that I have professional expertise to offer. Instead of complaining about the lack of honest data being used, I decided to try to change that. If the people of Shelter Island want my help, I'm there for them. Thank you.
I didn't bring any notes, but I really appreciate to the Democrats. I think it's really important to understand the difference between the three who are running a separate agenda versus the Democratic committee. And they didn't, which, you, as they said, they're an island for all, but they, except for me and probably you. That's what I wrote in a letter to the paper. And I'll repeat that here because I think that these three gentlemen really want to stop, you know, so a lot of the work that the town board, which I can't believe when you listen to them, how did they get elected in the first place? You know, there's some Democrats and Republicans up there, and you think that they didn't listen to anybody, but I think they have, and what they're dealing with is really contentious issues, particularly in the center of the island right now. Now, I don't always get along with all of them, and you can go to the videotape and you see Jerry trying to take me out of a meeting with the guard there, and you know, so and Jerry, you know, some of your ideas, you know, I think are it's good to have ideas, but it's better to have money, and I don't think the town's got all the money for all your ideas. And I think that I can rein some of those in. I'm for. I think you got a good plan with the waste treatment plant. I think that's going to solve a lot of issues with the town. You got to look into B1 zoning and resurrect the center of town and make it a livelier place. I'm a supporter of the library here for that to be a community center. I support the fire department. And I also support, you know, town services. I think we need to use our resources wisely to keep the place affordable. And that's what I like to bring to the town board. You can come out and yell at me. It's you know, I'm a little deaf, so loud, you know, do it loud so I can really get it, okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much. We take a very, very brief break while all of the candidates come up here and we take questions from the audience.
Recording stopped. Anybody want a question? Card? What? A question? I don't have any more questions. Okay.